Jean-Charles Joseph Raymond's CampagnaDi-Roma, the receding storm clouds, the undeveloped character of the wilderness, and the emphasis on nature rather than humanity in the painting's composition all offer hope and a vision of better days for a disheveled group of Romans during the 1830s. The storm clouds of this painting add hope by yielding themselves to a serene landscape of beauty and tranquility. Let's first reference the uprising of the storm you see here. The storm clouds represents the plague of disagreements, chaos, and uprisings that are flowing through the land due to the conflicts that arose during the Counter-Reformation. The storm creates an overcast, which affects all those who come in contact with the storm. Notice, however, that the storm's clouds are darkest away from civilization. There appears to be a house of opulence in the distance of the painting. The house of opulence is partially overcast by the darkest part of the storm that is menacingly hovering over the land. This alludes that the darkness and corruption emanates and moreover affects the house of opulence. The house of opulence is nothing more than the Roman Catholic Church. Notice that although the storm touches a part of the house of opulence, it does not consume it. This alludes that whatever evil is overcasting the Roman Catholic Church, it will not overtake the church or completely reshape it. This is an important factor in reasoning that hope is given to the Romans through this painting. This image seems to allude that the storm may have began at the Roman Catholic Church, but once everything is settled, all will be at peace again. So how can we tell that the storm is retreating? We can tell that the storm is departing because the dark encroaching storm clouds try and impinge upon the serene beauty of the countryside to no avail. Notice that the storm clouds are only dark in a specific area. The rest of the storm clouds are lighter in color and are less dense. Beyond this fact, the sky in the distance of the portrait is clear, and the sky to the right of the painting is partly cloudy with blue skies peeking through. This shows that the storm was most likely departing to yield fair weather. Another aspect of this painting that inspires hope is the wilderness to the left of the painting. The wilderness represents an image of hope because it is where the storm retired itself, away from civilization. This gives Romans hope that the unpleasant situation at hand would not forever thrive amongst them. Now that we realize the storm is retreating away from civilization, we can see that the storm is heading toward the thickets and mountaintops in the painting. The wilderness of this painting is an uninhabitable place of savagery, chaos, and complete anarchy. The wilderness is not created for men to inhabit, but more so for animals and beasts to dwell therein. For the storm clouds to retreat here shows that the wilderness was the place for the plague to dwell. It could not completely reign amongst civilization, but in the wilderness the storm could be at bay. Those aren't the only forms of inspiration Raymond uses in his painting. He also uses the element of man versus nature to inspire hope that the power of nature will triumph over any corruption began by the likes of man. In the painting, there are man-made objects as well as natural objects that were placed in position by nature itself. Look at the grand scheme of things. Everything that is natural is so much bigger and so much more demeaning than anything created by man. Take a look at the carriage that is passing along the road, leaving the house of opulence in the distance. This carriage passes between a mountain and a large boulder that seems to instantly show their grandeur against the frailty and simplicity of the carriage in this painting. In another aspect, everything man-made is supported by nature. Take a look at the house of opulence. It sits upon a large hill that acts as the house's foundation. Without nature, nothing could stand, and everything could be crushed in its wake. This is to help the audience realize that nature always triumphs over anything that man sets in motion. It is to say that everything will once again be placed into its proper balance. The Reformation was Europe's search for physical and spiritual stability. Over the years, the Roman Catholic Church was beginning to lose its spiritual power. The church became deeply involved in politics, and the resulting intrigues and political manipulations, combined with the church's exponential growth in power and wealth, contributed to the bankrupting of the church as a spiritual force. Abuses of power, such as the sale of spiritual privileges and relics, further undermined the church's spiritual authority. In effect, Protestantism sprang forth and threatened to take hold of a nation that had, for so many centuries, been centered around Catholicism. This was the storm Ramon painted in CampagnaDi-Roma, but he also painted many signs of hope that would leave the Romans assured of better and brighter days.